speaker, right? I'm respectfully asking you. And then anybody else who might want to say something.
Thank you, Lee. I don't know if anybody in this room goes back with Lee as long as I do. Probably some of, okay. I knew some of the
How far you go? How far you go?
1980?
Oh,
79? Hello, everybody. I go back sometimes. Lee's been a dear, dear friend of mine for a very long time. And I can't think of a better person to be running today for the United States Senate than Lee Fisher. Lee is passionate about the things that matter most to the people here in Ohio. Health care, education, and jobs. Right now we have three major priorities in the state: jobs, jobs, and jobs. And who better to bring jobs back to Ohio from the seat in the United States Senate than Lee Fisher. Thank you.
I don't go back as far as the speaker, but I've known Lee very well for about 11 years now. And hailing from Toledo, Ohio, I want to say that, speaking on behalf of folks from Toledo, how much we appreciate the attention and the time you devoted to Northwest Ohio. Lee is certainly somebody that understands what it means to create jobs. And as, not to beat a dead horse, but as the speaker and all of the others have so eloquently stated, Ohio needs a champion in Washington, D.C. to help turn this economy around. Certainly the governor has faith in Lee. I do as well. And certainly based on this turnout, a lot of people in Ohio have tremendous faith in Lee. I think he'll be a phenomenal United States Senator. I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Jobs, Republicans, barely or not, are already associating you with Ohio's job losses during the last 2 years, although there were many job losses before that. How are you going to respond to that?
With the facts.
That's good.
Thank you, Lee. I think it's fair to say that anyone who takes the time to look at the facts will see that there are two stories on economic development. The story as to what's happened since the fall of Lehman Brothers because of the misguided policies of the Bush administration that dug the deepest economic ditch since the Great Depression. And those policies of Governor Strickland and our team that have resulted in 3,600 economic and community development projects that have leveraged $14 billion in private investments, that have created more than 50,000 jobs, retained close to 200,000 jobs, have trained 85,000 workers, a current pipeline in the Ohio Department of Development with another 800 economic development projects that would leverage an additional $14 billion. The first ever comprehensive economic development strategic plan in the history of the Ohio Department of Development, which means that we are not only aggressively blocking and tackling, but that we're planning a long-term future. And bold investments led by Governor Strickland that include unprecedented investments in early childhood education, higher education, the lowest tuition increases of anywhere in the country, because our tuition increases were 0. That's fairly low. And I'm not done yet. An energy bill that requires that by the year 2025, 25% of our energy needs to be met by advanced and renewable energy, the third most aggressive portfolio standard according to the Berkeley laboratories in the country, and a $1.57 billion state stimulus package before there was any discussion of a federal stimulus package that makes unprecedented investments in our infrastructure, in higher education internships, and in some of our greatest industries of potential growth like alternative and advanced energy, bioscience, bioproducts, and distribution and logistics. So with all due respect to those that actually were responsible for digging that economic ditch, I would suggest they need to look at the facts And how did we get into the national crisis, and what is the Strickland administration doing to make sure that we not only get out of the ditch, but that Ohio thrives in future years because of our investments?
Do you believe, and if not, why have you not wished to stop or repeal?
Governor Strickland and I, when we campaigned, early on embraced those tax reforms because we believed that they needed time to see if they would work. I can tell you in my day-to-day work in the Ohio Department of Development, I have zero doubt that it's working. And here's what I mean. Our state business tax burden went to 38 from, I think, in the 20s. In other words, the lower the better. We are one of only 2 states in the country a year from now that will have no corporate franchise tax and no tangible income, personal income tax. I'm sorry, tangible personal property tax. And when we offer incentive packages, Bill, to companies, we present day value what the effect is of tax reform. And almost in every transaction, because of that tax reform, we are more competitive with other states who, frankly, we can't compete sometimes with the grants and the loans that Alabama and Mississippi has. But the reason we often win those competitions is when we present day value the tax reform, we do. Now, having said that, the governor and I have admitted there's another side of that coin. There's some short-term pain because it means less revenue to the state, which has made our job of balancing the budget all the more difficult. So these are not easy decisions, but do I believe it's the right thing for the short-term and long-term economic growth of the state while acknowledging that it causes it more difficult for us to balance our budget? Yes. But on balance, we've decided that in order to improve the business and economic climate of the state, that we support it. And I want to make sure the governor agrees with what I said. Thank you. You're still the lieutenant governor, and I want to make sure I did that right.